السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. الحمد لله رب العالمين. Inshallah, today we are looking at lesson number 82 as you can see here. وهذا الدرس إن شاء الله سنقرأ شيئا عن إمام أبو حامد الغزالي. هذا الشيخ شيخ جليل عظيم في تاريخ الإسلام، يعني يرتبط على كل مسلم لمعرفة تاريخه. فلهذا الشيخ كتب جليل في علوم الحديث وعلوم الفقه وعلوم الفلسفة، وكذلك في سائر العلوم الإسلامية. سندرس هذه الأشياء كلها في هذا الدرس كما سبق أن قلت لكم إن شاء الله. الدرس لا يزال بالإنجليزية حتى نفهم كل شيء على وجه الصحيح، فلذلك سنشرح باللغة الإنجليزية. This, as I said, this lesson is about Imam Abu Hamid al-Ghazali, a very great scholar of the 11th to the, even spanning to the early 12th century. He lived to the early 12th century, and he's a very great scholar of Islam. And so today we are going to be looking at him, something about him. So the author begins by saying that Wulida Abu Hamid Muhammad al-Ghazali Betus. He was born in Tus. This is a place in modern day, in today's terminology, that is in Iran. It's a place in Iran, Betus. So he was born in this place, Imam Abu Hamid al-Ghazali. Sanata 450, in the year 450 after Hijrah. وَكَانَ وَالِدُهُ يَغْزُلُ الصُّوفَ, and his father used to weave. غَزَلَ يَغْزِلُ, it means to weave. You see, or to spin. Suf is the cotton. So غَزَلَ يَغْزُلُ, it means you can see some people, especially if you go to the villages, okay, or a place where they do this for a living. That's where it is common, okay, in the outskirts of a town. That's where it is very common, where cotton is very common. You see people who are spinning cotton, okay, and they make it into fine thread, okay, and through that they earn a living. We call those people Ghazali. I hope that is clear. From Ghazala Yakzulu, which means to spin a cotton. I hope that is clear. So that was what his father was doing. So he earned that title from the work that their family were doing. I hope that is clear. So that's where the Ghazali comes from. Ghazala Yakzulu, it means to weave or to spin cotton. Then he says that وَيَبِيعُهُ فِي دُكَانِهِ بِتُوس, and he sell it in his shop at Tus. So this his father, he used to sell it in his shop, which was at Tus. وَكَانَ فَقِيرًا صَالِحًا, he was a poor man, at the same time a righteous man. لَا يَأْكُلُ إِلَّا مِنْ كَسْبِ يَدِهِ, he doesn't eat except from the earning of his hand. He eats from what belongs to him. Rather, he doesn't eat out of injustice. He doesn't take anything injustly. He doesn't consume any haram thing. وَيَطُوفُ عَلَى مُتَفَكِّهَ, and then he goes around among fakih. Mutafakkiha is the plural of fakih, which means a jurist. Someone who is well versed in the issues of fiqh is called faqih. So mutafakkih is the plural. So he used to go around. This his father, who was a righteous man. He used to go around in the circles of fiqh, people of fiqh. وَيُجَالِسُهُمْ, and then he sits with them. جَالَسَ يُجَالِسُ, to sit with people. وَيُنْفِقُ عَلَيْهِمْ بِمَا يُمْكِنُهُ, and he spent over them what he is able to. Meaning the little that he has, he used to spend on them, on these people of fiqh, okay, that he was sitting with, to his ala qadri imkanihi, to his ability. وَكَانَ إِذَا سَمِعَ كَلَامُهُمْ بَكَى, and whenever he listened to their words, he cries. وَتَدَرَّعَ, and he is humbled. تَدَرَّعَ يَتَدَرَّعُ, it means to be humbled. وَسَعَلَ اللَّهَ أن يرزقه ابنا فقيها واعظا, and then he asked Allah to grant him a child who was a fakir, who will be a fakir, a jurist. Wa'izan, someone who gives admonishment, someone who can talk to people, and his speech will enter into people's heart. That is a wa'iz. Okay, wa'izan. So he says that فَاسْتَجَابَ اللَّهُ دَعْوَتَهُ, and Allah accepted his dua. وَلَمَّا حَضَرَتْهُ الْوَفَاةُ وَصَّى بِهِ وَبِأَخِيهِ أَحْمَدْ إِلَى صَدِيقٍ لَهُ. And when wafat means mamat, death. When death presented itself to him, meaning when it was time for his death, وَصَّى بِهِ وَبِأَخِيهِ, he entrusted. Wassa is a word which will mean to leave behind a will. But when it's used for people, you don't leave people behind will for, you don't leave people behind to be inherited. You entrust them to other people. But properties, you put a will that this should be distributed like this. But people, you don't distribute people, you entrust them, you understand? So it could mean different ways. Wassa could mean to leave behind a will of inheritance. It could also mean to entrust. It could even mean to give an advice. Surah Al-Asr, إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ. Tawasaw, from this one, from wasiyah. Okay, so it could even mean to give a nice advice to someone. So wassa bihi, as I said, wassa could come for different, but here it means to entrust. Wassa bihi wa bi akhihi. So this Ghazali and then his brother, their father entrusted him to his friend, ila sadiqin lahu, to his friend, min ahli khair, from the people of good. Of course, no one will leave his children to someone who is not good. So he entrusted them to someone who is among the righteous of people. Let's see what he said. فَلَمَّا مَاتَ أَقْبَلَ الرَّجُلُ عَلَى تَعْلِيمِهِمَا. When he finally died, this is the father of Ghazali. When he finally died, أَقْبَلَ الرَّجُلُ, the man went ahead, عَلَى تَعْلِيمِهِمَا, to teach them. He went ahead to teach them. إِلَىٰ أَنْ فَنِيَ ذَلِكَ الَّذِي كَانَ خَلَّفَهُ لَهُمَا أَبُوهُمَا, until a point where what their father has left behind, خَلَّفَ لَهُمَا, what their father has left for them of inheritance, it finished. Fania means for something to deplete, to run out. So what their father left of inheritance, you know what? He didn't just entrust them to him and then that's all. Maybe he left some small money. He should use it to take care of them. But they are telling us that he went ahead teaching them and then spending over them to the point where this money finished. فَقَالَ لَهُمَا, and so he said to both of them, اعلما أني قد أنفقت عليكما ما كان لكما. Know that I've spent on you what was left for you. وأنا رجل فقير, and I am a poor man. When it has finished, I don't have enough money to spend on you. لا مال لي, I don't have money. فأرى أن تلجأ إلى مدرسة. So I see that you should resort to a madrasa. Laja'a yarja'u, it means to resort to something. So I see that you should resort to a madrasa. You should go to a madrasa. And that time you have to understand, that time it was different. It's not like the madaris that we have today. In that time, the Salatin, the sultans, they were those who were spending on the madrasa. So the madrasa, they have a place where the students sleep. They have a feeding program for the students. So the students literally, they don't spend anything. Just go there to learn. Then the sultan, the salatin, the princes and all these people, they are those who are taking care of the madaris. The release state fund, which is used to fund the students and the children at the madaris. So there they don't spend anything. So he said that he sees that they should take resorts there. فَإِنَّكُمَا مِنْ طَلَبَةِ الْعِلْمِ, for indeed you, both of you who are from the students of knowledge. فَيَحْصُلُ لَكُمَا قُوتٌ يُعِينُكُمَا عَلَى وَقْتِكُمَا. If you go there, يَحْصُلُ لَكُمَا قُوت, the madrasa will end a sustenance for you. Qut means sustenance. Okay, to earn a sustenance for you. There you'll be able to sustain yourself. يُعِينُكُمَا عَلَى وَقْتِكُمَا. That will help you over your time, the time that you spend there. ففعل ذلك. So both of them, they did that. وكان هو السبب في سعادتهما, and that was the reason for their happiness. Okay, for them being prospering. وعلو درجاتهما, and the highness of their status. The madrasa was that which gave them that. Let's see how. He says that قرأ الغزالي في صباح طرفا من الفقه ببلده على أحمد بن محمد الرازكاني. Imam Ghazali قرأ في الصباح, he read, he studied in his childhood طرفا من الفقه, a portion of fiqh ببلده, in his country, على أحمد ibn Muhammad al-Razakani, from this particular person, Muhammad al-Razakani. ثم سافر إلى جرجان, then he traveled to Jurjan إلى Imam Abi Nasr al-Ismaili. He traveled to Jurjan to this particular Sheikh also, Abi Nasr al-Ismaili. وعلق عنه تعليقا, he earned from him a ta'liqa. Ta'liq is actually commentary. Okay, commentary. You see, when you have a book, let's see this book that we are studying, then actually you have the hard copy. Okay, those having the hard copy, as I am explaining, you are writing. Let's say I got to this particular place. I say Sibah means childhood, so you write Sibah and then you put childhood. You understand? Qara, it means to study, so you write study. Then you are writing commentary on the sizes. No such thing is called ta'liqa. Ta'liqa, as I said, is a commentary of something. So you go to someone to study, and as the person is explaining the thing for you, you are writing down points that you think are very important points, and even commentary of what he is explaining. Such thing is called ta'liqa. So he traveled to Jurjan, to this particular scholar of Abi Nasr Ismaili, and then what he learned, he wrote points and even commentary, several of them. So it could take several books for him to write it, because he stayed there for several years, and he did that. Then they say that summa raja'a ila Tus, then he went back to Tus. قال الغزالي, Ghazali says that قطعت علينا طريقة. This is an expression to mean that we were stopped. Qata'a means what? To stop, to cut something. So if you say قطع علينا الطريق, it means we were cut. We were cut while we were going. It simply means we were. This is used for robbers. Okay, robbers, armed robbers. Okay, so they are even called QIRA ATuR. They are people who cut people on their travel. They cut the way. They just pop up, out of nowhere, and then they stop you and rob you. They are called QIRA ATuR. So قطعت علينا الطريق, we were stopped on the road by robbers. وأخذ الأيارون جميع ما معي, and أيارون, that is bandits. Ayyar is bandit, Ayyarun is the plural, bandits. Okay, they took what were with me, all that was with me. وَمَدَوْا, and then they left. So the armed robbers stopped them, took all their things, their belongings, and then they left for it. So this ta'liqa that he has stayed, he has went and then did all those things, they took it away. Subhanallah. فَتَبِعْتُهُمْ فَالْتَفَتَ إِلَيَّ مُقَدِّمُهُمْ فَاتَّبِعْتُهُم, I followed them. So after they left, this Imam Ghazali, he didn't ignore. He followed their footsteps. فَالْتَفَتَ إِلَيَّ مُقَدَّمُهُم, and their leader, Muqaddam is the leader of a group. So their leader turned to me, وَقَالَ, and he said, إِرْجِعْ وَيْحَكْ, go back, way to you. So the leader, when he saw that, so one of them was following them, he turned to him and then he told him that waylak, and wayhak. And wayhak is an expression to mean way to you. It means calamity will befall you if you don't stop what you are doing. Or it's a kind of tahzir, to tell someone that what he's doing, he's endangering himself. He's putting himself in a very great danger. So irja wayhak, he told him that. Wa illa halakta, and if not, you will be destroyed. Halaka means to destroy someone. It's different from qatala. Qatala means to kill. Halaka can also mean to kill. But it comes to mean violent death. Okay, violent death. Let's say someone fall from a tall building, and then he died a very violent death. Such we don't call that mata, or we don't say kutila. We don't do that. We call it halaka. Halaka means to die a violent death. It's not a smooth death. It's a very, violent death, painful death. So wa illa halakta. If not, we were killed in a brutal manner. That's what they are telling him. فَقُلْتُ لَهُ, and I said to him, أَسْأَلُكَ بِالَّذِي تَرُجُّ السَّلَامَةَ مِنْهُ أَنْ تَرُدَّ عَلَيَّ تَعْلِيقَتِي. I ask you, بِالَّذِي تَرُجُّ السَّلَامَةَ مِنْهُ, by the one whom you wish peace from him. Is referring to Allah Azza wa Jal. I ask you, by the one whom you expect peace from him, and tarudda alayya ta'liqati, that you return to me my ta'liqa faqat, only my ta'liqa. I want my ta'liqa. فما هي بشيء تنتفعون به. It isn't something that you benefit from it. فقال لي, then he said to me, their leader, وما هي تعليقتك? So he doesn't even know تعليق. He said, what's تعليق? فقلت, and I said, Imam is saying, كتب في تلك المخلات. It is books in this مخلات. مخلات is a bag, okay, a particular type of bag that is being used by the during the pre-Islamic era. It was very common. You see the Bedouins using it. It's a rubber bag. It's a bag, a leather one that they use. So he's saying that kutubun fi tilka al-mikhlat, they are books that are found in this mikhlat that you took from me. Then he says that hajartu li sama'iha, I traveled to listen to them, wa kitabatiha, and even to write them, wa ma'rifati ilmiha, and even to know its knowledge. I traveled for several years to go and gather that knowledge that you took from me. Fadahika. So he laughed. The man laughed. Their leader, he laughed. Waqal, and then he said, Kayfa tadda'i annaka arafta ilmaha wa qad akhaznaha minka fatajarra'ta min ma'rifatiha. Kayfa tadda'i, how do you claim annaka arafta ilmiha, that you know its knowledge? You can hear Sheikh say that لسماعها وكتابتها ومعرفة علمها. You see the last one, ومعرفة علمها, and to know its knowledge. So the leader is now saying, how do you claim that you know its knowledge? كيف تدعي أنك عرفت علمها? How do you claim that you know its knowledge? وقد أخذناها منك, and we have taken it from you. فتجرعت من معرفتها, and you are the one who is stripped from its knowledge. So meaning, it's a very nice advice for all of us, even students of knowledge. You are a student of knowledge, you study this. But when we ask you, where is this knowledge? You say, let me go and check from my book. We ask you something, that you say, let me go and check. No, knowledge is, we should put it in your head and even in your heart. You understand? That is how students of knowledge should be. You go and sit in front of to study something. There's some people like that, like this book that we are studying, QIRA ATuR RAASHIDA. You study it, and then someone will say, oh, mashallah, I've studied QIRA ATuR RAASHIDA. I've studied a very nice book, vocabulary books. It gives you eloquence, and even vocabularies, Quranic vocabularies. Mashallah, I'm done studying this book. But you ask him something, and you say, oh, let me go and check from the book again. So that's what the bandit is asking him. Then that means we didn't even study it. If you study it and then the thing is not in your head, but when you are asked about something of it, you have to go and check in the book again. That's what he's saying. So he was asking Sheikh, okay, فَتَجَرَّأْتَ مِنْ مَعْرِفَتِهَا, you are the one who is stripped from its knowledge. Tajarra, it means to strip something. Mujarrad is something that is stripped. Okay, even in Arabic, sarf, because there are some verbs that we call mujarrad. Okay, it means that nothing is added to them. They are just naked as they are, meaning it's only the root letters that are there. Okay, nothing is attached to it. So that is mujarrad verbs. So fatajarrata, tajarra, as I said, tajarra, to strip something of something. Okay, You are the one who strayed from his knowledge. وَبَقَيْتَ بِلَا إِلْمٍ, and you remain without knowledge. So you call it knowledge, but it's not in your head. It's just in that book. When we take the book, you don't have the knowledge again. I hope that is clear. His accent shake. This is a question mark. You can see his accent shake. So مَا أَمَرَ بَعْضَ أَصْحَابِهِ. Then afterwards, he asked one of his ashab, of his companions, those bandits, his followers. He asked one of them, فَسَلَّمَ إِلَيَّ مِخْلَاتًا, and then they returned that mikhlat that has the ta'liqa in it, that has the commentary books in it. قال الغزالي, Ghazali says, Imam Ghazali says afterwards, Ghazali says that هذا مستنطق, this is a mustantiq, someone who speaks. أنطقه الله ليرشدني به في أمري. It's a mustantiq, it's a speech, something that speaks, that Allah had made to speak to me, to guide me in my matter. Meaning it was an indication from Allah Azza wa Jal to notify me that knowledge is not to be kept in books. You have to put it in your head. That's what Imam is saying. You know, there are some incidents that will happen, and it's just irshad min Allah. It's an indication from Allah to tell you something. So let's see how that shaped the study of Imam. It really shaped his studies afterwards. He says that falamma wafaitu Tusa, and when I arrived at Tusa, wafa is another word to mean wasala, to arrive. So falamma wafaitu Tusa, and when I arrived at Tusa, akbaltu ala ishtigali thalatha sinin. I went ahead, akbala to hasten into something, to move forward with something. Ala ishtigali thalatha sinin, to busy myself 3 years. Hatta hafiztu jami'a ma allaqtuhu, until I memorized completely all that I commented, like those commentary books that I wrote from the scholar that I went and studied from. He memorized everything. He busied himself for 3 years, dedicated himself to memorize everything. وصرت بحيث لو قطع علي الطريقة لم أتجرد من علمي. To the point, Sirtu, I became the one where if we are stopped and we are robbed, Lam atajarrad min ilmi, I won't be stripped from my knowledge. Man, I will still have my knowledge from my head. I don't need the books again. That's what. So you see, that thing really shake. Other than that, if that thing hadn't happened, he may have not memorized it. So, as I said, certain things Allah just put it and it will be a guidance for you. Then he says that وَقَدِمَ Ghazali Nisabur, and Imam Ghazali, he went forward to Nisabur, وَلَازَمَ Imam al-Haramain, and then he met. Lazama, it means to be in company of someone. I don't know whether you will get me to accompany. He was in the company of the Imam al-Haramain. This is a particular famous Imam al-Haramain. Okay, wajadda wajtahada, and he was serious. Jadda, to be serious. Wajtahada, and then he worked hard. Hatta bara'a fil mazhab, until the point where he excelled in mazhab. Okay, the field of mazhab, ideologies, wal khilaf, and even dispute, wal jadal, and arguments, debates, wal aslayn, and fundamental principles, the two fundamental principles, wal mantiq, and even logic, wa qara'a al hikmah, and he even studied hikmah, wisdom, wal falsafa, and falsafa, that is philosophy, wa ahkama kulla dhalik, and the rulings of all those fields, he studied them. Allahu Akbar. Wa fahima kalama arbabi hazihi al-ulum, and he understood the words of the scholars of these fields. So scholars, famous scholars who were in the field of mazhab, khilaf, jadal, aslayn, mantiq, hikmah, falsafa, he studied, and then he knew, he understood their words. So you know, each field has a scholar, great scholars. So he went and then he studied their words. He understood very well their words. Some of them were even non-Muslims, something like philosophy. If you go to the field of philosophy, you see Aristotle and all these people, they are even non-Muslims, you understand. So they are most of the scholars in some fields are not even Muslims, but he studied them. And that's something that is we Muslims who have to understand this. We have to come out from our shells. Non-Muslims or atheists or all those people who are against Islam, they don't understand Quran. They understand philosophy, okay, and intellectual arguments and all these things. That's what they understand. And that is the nature of the Quran. The Quran is something that's sometimes called to the intellectual sense of the human being. إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ خُلِقَ هَلُوعًا إِذَا مَسَّهُ الشَّرُّ جَزُوعًا وَإِذَا مَسَّهُ الْخَيْرُ مَنُوعًا. This is not talking about spiritual distinct. It's talking about the intellectual nature of the human being. That is inside how the philosophical nature of the human being. So sometimes the Quran even talks about what is internal of the human being, the sense. It calls the sense of the human being. فِيهِ ذِكْرُكُمْ, like Allah says. In it is your mention. You find the human being, the nature of the human being is inside the Quran. So sometimes we Muslims, we are those who have to go forward and study philosophy. Aside studying the Quran and being knowledgeable in the Quran and Ahadith, we have to sometimes go and study these fields that are not relating to Islam. Because non-Muslims, that's what they understand. And then they use it against us. They will come up with confusing intellectual arguments that if we are not able to, to prove well, it will even be confusion for Muslims as well. So we have to study this very, very well. And when that happens, we are going to have two eyes open. A spiritual eye and then an intellectual eye, wide open. There's no way someone could deceive you of your religion, or someone could, try to convince you. And that's what happens. As I said, it's something like Allah says that Udu ila rabbikum bil hikmah. We have to call people, and that's what happens when you go to, to talk to people who are not Muslims. You can use Quran, but most of them, especially people who are atheists, he doesn't even believe in the Quran to begin with. You have to prove and come up with, intellectual statements that are very accurate in order to convince him. And as I said, there's something that we Muslims shouldn't leave. We shouldn't just leave it to the non-Muslims. Oh, they are not even Muslims. These things doesn't concern us. No, it concerns us. We have to be knowledgeable in those fields. Even not for arguments. I'm not saying for arguments. Argument is secondary, or trying to convince others is secondary. But for we ourselves, when that happens, we will very, our yakin will, the level of our yakin will increase. No, it will increase. Because what is in the Quran, we are going to develop tasdeeq of it, or affirm it. When we are studying the Quran and we know something of philosophy, it will help us to really appreciate what Allah is talking about in the Quran. There's nothing that is more philosophical than the Quran. No one has philosophical knowledge than that which the Quran provides. Siru fil ard, like Allah says, go around in the earth and observe. So we shouldn't just limit ourselves to knowledge of the Quran. You understand? So it's very, very important. So that is what they are telling us. Imam Ghazali, that was what he did. He studied the kalam, the words of the scholars in these fields, philosophy and other things. Then they say that وَتَصَدَّى لِلرَّدِّ عَلَيْهِمْ. He went forward to refute them. Tasadda actually means to confront someone. Radd ala, to refute. So he confronted them and refuted them. Wa ibtali da'awihim, and disproven or abolition of their claims. Ibtal is abolishment, to abolish something. It's a masdar from batala, okay, to abolish or even to disprove something. So ibtal da'awihim. Da'awihim is a plural of da'wa, claim of someone. Okay, da'awihim, their claims. So had he not been knowledgeable in this field, how could he even So that is what happens. Sometimes non-Muslims or even atheists, they come out with some philosophical arguments that are not even correct. But because we don't even have fundamental knowledge in them, we can't even argue. You understand? So if we study it now, we know philosophy and we even know Quran. You have two things, two advantages. You understand? So that was what Imam did. And then he was able to abolish their claims. He was able to refute their claims, which were not even true to begin with. وصنف في كل فن من هذه العلوم كتبا جليلة. وصنف في, and then he even authored صنف. That was what I said at the beginning of the lesson. This Imam, he had several books, great books in these fields. Okay, صنف في كل فن. All these fields he authored great books in them. Then ولما مات إمام الحرمين, when this Imam that he went to study with Imam Haramain died, خرج الغزالي إلى معسكر. Imam Ghazali, he moved to Ma'askar, and that was what they were doing, those scholars. He moved here to study, moved there to study, moved to this place to study. That was what they were doing, just move around, gathering knowledge. That was what they were doing. Okay, so he moved to Ma'askar. Ma'askar is a place. Ma'askar could literally mean a camp. A camp is called Ma'askar, but this is referring to a particular specific place. Okay, Qasidan al-Wazira Nizam al-Mulk. He was moving to who? Wazir. His intention was to move to Wazir, who was called Nizam al-Mulk. Is kana majlisuhu majma'a ahli al-ilm. His majlis, his gathering of sitting, or his sitting, his sitting was a collection of people of knowledge. It was a gathering of people of knowledge. فناظر الأئمة والعلماء في مجلسه, and then he debated, nazar, to debate, a'imma, the plural of imam, which means imams. He debated the imams and ulama and even scholars fi majlisihi, in his sitting, the sitting of this Nizam al-Mulk. Wa qahara al-khusum, and then he defeated the khusum. Khusum is your opponent, the one who is debating with you, who is arguing with you. It's called the khusum. He defeated them. وَظَهَرَ كَلَامُهُ عَلَيْهِمْ, and then his word, the word of Imam Ghazali, what he was preaching, what he was calling to, it was the one which ظَهَرَ عَلَيْهِمْ, which manifest over their ears. وَاعْتَرَفُوا بِفَضْلِهِ, and they acknowledge, اعترف, to acknowledge, they acknowledge his virtue. وَتَلَقَّاهُ الصَّاحِبُ بِالتَّعْظِيمِ وَالتَّبْجِيلِ, and then the Sahib, بمعنى Nizam al-Mulk, تلقاه, he received him بالتعظيم, or he accepted him بالتعظيم, with honor or greatness. والتبجيل, tabjil from bajjala yubajjil, it means to honor someone or to respect someone. That is tabjil, with honor. So he received him with greatness and even with honor. وَوَاللَّهُ تَدْرِيسَ مَدْرَسَتِهِ, and he entrusted him with the teaching of his madrasa at Baghdad. So this Sahib Nizam al-Mulk, he had a madrasa at Baghdad. When he saw that Imam was very knowledgeable and learned person, he entrusted him with the teaching or the running of this madrasa. وَأَمَرَهُ بِالتَّوَجُّهِ إِلَيْهَا, and then he commanded him with moving forward or moving towards the madrasa, the man going to where he was not at Baghdad, that was Ma'askar. So you see, he ordered him to go to Baghdad for it. So that's what he's saying, the tawajjuh. Okay, tawajjuh, it means to face, to go towards something. So he ordered him to move towards there, to be teaching in that madrasa. Now he says that فقدم بغداد في سنة 484, and so Sheikh moved to Baghdad in the year 484. وَدَرَّسَ بِالنِّظَامِيَّةِ, and then he taught with the Nizamiyya. Okay, the system, the actual system that we are having today, classroom systems. Some time back, the cities were gatherings. It was just circles of knowledge, zawaya. But this Nizamiyya, it was introduced, just the classroom systems where you have classrooms. So that was what was there at that madrasa at Baghdad, and Sheikh taught in it. وَأَعْجَبَ الْخَلْقَ حُسْنُ كَلَامِهِ, and the beauty of his words amazed the people. Al-Khalq here bimana an-nas. The people were amazed by the beauty of his speech. وَكَمَالُ فَضْلِهِ, and the completeness of his virtue. He was full of virtue. وَفَصَاحَةُ لِسَانِهِ, and the eloquence of his tongue. He was very eloquent. وَنُكْيَتُهُ الدَّقِيقَةِ, and then the nukta. I would say nukta or nukia. It means a short statement. So if, for example, you say nukta balagiyya, okay, it means a very short statement of balaga. You see, sometimes when you are studying in some books, especially Arabic books or sarf or balaga or all these books, you can be studying and all of a sudden you see a very short line of poem. Such thing is called nukta or nukia, and it's just a short story or something. Okay, so a short story, you see sometimes there are some teachers like that. We used to have a teacher like that when he's coming to teach. You know, he's someone who teaches, let's say, usuluddin. He's someone who teaches you usuluddin. But anytime he comes to teach, before he starts, he will make sure he just use 10 minutes to talk about imaniyat, to talk something about tawheed. And when he talks, the manner the thing will enter into you to bring your attention back to the class. You talk, it just use 10 minutes. So that thing could be a nukta, something short, a short story or something. It's called nukta. So that was what Imam was doing. The one he had these methodologies as part of his teaching. Wa isharatuhu al-latifa, and then his kind gestures. Wa ahabbuhu, and the people loved him. Subhanallah, the people loved him. الدرس طويل جدا لابد أن نتوقف هنا. We have to pause here, because if you look at the lesson, it's very long. You see, it's very long. So this is we have gotten to almost the middle, so we will pause here so that in the next lesson we'll continue, and we are going to see the remaining part of the small history of Imam Ghazali. Jazak Allahu Khair. You can read through, inshallah, while waiting the next lesson for us to explain it together. Jazak Allahu Khairan. If anything is not clear, please try to contact us. We'll explain into details for you. جزاكم الله خيرا وبارك الله لي ولكم في القرآن الحكيم ونفعني وإياكم بالآيات والذكر الحكيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.